In this video, I'm gonna be ranking the best villains from the Kung Fu Panda movies. Now, I know everyone has their own opinions on who the best villain is, and we all have our favorites. But in this video, I'll be sharing who I think stands out the most in the movies, especially in how they play a role in the development of the main character. Coming in at number 4 is the Chameleon from Kung Fu Panda 4. I have to say, she looked really promising before the movie came out, and I had high hopes for her character. But once I actually watched the film, I was a bit let down. Unlike some of the other villains in the series, she doesn't have a lot of depth. Her backstory and motivation for becoming a villain just didn't feel as strong or interesting. It boils down to the fact that she was made fun of for being too short, which led her to feel inadequate. That lack of self-esteem pushed her to seek power and control over others as a way to prove herself.
I wanted respect and power. I wanted to be a master of Kung Fu.
Say what?
I was turned away from every training hall I went to. They would say I was too small.
Sure, her shape-shifting ability is pretty cool and gives her a unique edge, but overall, I think she's kind of a letdown as a villain in this franchise. She doesn't leave much of an impact, and to be honest, she's pretty forgettable. At number 3, we have Kai. His motivations as a villain stem from a sense of betrayal and a strong desire to reclaim something he believes is rightfully his, control over Chi. Kai was once Master Oogway's best friend, but jealousy and a hunger for power led him down the dark path of villainy.
I fought by his side. I loved him like a brother. And he betrayed me. Now I will destroy everything he has created!
While I wouldn't call him the best villain in the series, he's definitely more interesting than the Chameleon, mainly because he brings something significant to Po's development. Kai's role as an antagonist pushes Po to confront his own insecurities. This struggle helps Po grow and step into his role as a leader, which is something you don't really see in his interactions with the Chameleon. At number 2, we have Lord Shen. I actually went back and forth on whether to place him here or give him the top spot, but I think number 2 is a good place for him. He's a villain with a lot of depth, and his motivations go beyond just wanting power. Lord Shen is driven by fear, jealousy, and a deep need to control everything around him. He was the prince of Gangmen City, but his obsession with greatness led him to believe that his future was doomed by a prophecy from a soothsayer. The prophecy said he would be defeated by a black and white warrior, which filled him with a deep fear of losing power. To try to avoid this fate, Lord Shen ordered the death of an entire panda tribe, believing that erasing them would prevent his downfall. The twist here is that in the process, he ends up killing Po's mother, who had saved Po's life when he was a baby. The only survivors of that massacre were Po's father and a few other pandas. Po didn't know anything about his parents at that time, so this act of violence added a lot of emotional weight to their rivalry. Lord Shen's actions not only create a huge amount of tension between him and Po, but also spark a deep personal quest for Po to learn more about his past.
How did you find peace? I took away your parents. Everything. I scarred you for life.
See, that's the thing, Shen. Scars heal.
And at number 1, we have Tai Lung. In my opinion, he's the best villain from the franchise. Like I mentioned earlier, I was really torn between him and Lord Shen, but I ended up going with Tai Lung because honestly, I just love his character. He's such a badass and his presence is just incredible. When he enters a scene, you can feel the intensity. His motivation for becoming a villain is deeply rooted in betrayal, ambition, and the pressure of high expectations. Tai Lung was once Shifu's student, and it wasn't just any student-teacher relationship. He was raised by Shifu as if he were his own son. From the start, Shifu drilled into him that he was destined for greatness. The goal was for him to become the Dragon Warrior, and Shifu was the one telling him that he was going to achieve it. So he grew up with this belief and trained relentlessly with that dream in mind. But when the day finally came, Oogway rejected him because he perceived darkness in his heart. That was a huge blow, and it set off a chain of events that left Tai Lung with a deep hatred for both Shifu and Oogway. He felt betrayed, especially by Shifu, who didn't do anything to stop the rejection. This moment was the turning point in Tai Lung's journey toward villainy. He spent 20 years in prison, brooding and waiting for the chance to get his revenge. But even deeper than that, Tai Lung wanted validation. He wanted to prove to Shifu that he was worthy of the Dragon Warrior title. What makes him stand out as the ultimate villain is that he actually helps Poe's character development in a big way. Through their conflict, Poe goes on his own journey of growth, moving from self-doubt to self-acceptance.
There is no secret ingredient. It's just you.
Poe learns to embrace his own unique abilities instead of trying to conform to what others expect from him. The struggle between Tai Lung and Poe isn't just a fight between good and evil, it's about finding inner strength and staying true to yourself, no matter what anyone else thinks. It's interesting because if you think about it, pretty much every villain in the movies helps Poe in some way, even if it's not always obvious. Lord Shen challenges Poe mentally, Kai tests him spiritually, and Tai Lung pushes him physically. The Chameleon, on the other hand, doesn't really contribute to Poe's development at all, which is why she doesn't rank as high.